Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 1, Text 34. Api sit aste Bhagavan Sukham Vaha Yaha Sattvatam Kamadugaha Anirudha Yam Amananti Sma Hi Shabdayonim Manamayam Sattva Turiya Sattvam Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhambo Yasatvatam Kamadugo Nurudha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvatariya Sattvam Apisviraste Bhagavan Dukambo Yasadvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Sattvam Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukambo Yasatvatam Kamadukho Niruddha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Sattvam
Apisvidaste Bhagavan Sukangvo Yasatvatam Kamadukho Niruddha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayoning Manomayang Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisvidaste Bhagavan Sukhambo Yasatvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yam Amananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yam Amananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yam Amananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kama Diganira Udaha Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Apisviraste Bhagavan Sukhamvo Yasatvatam Kamaduko Niruddha Yam Amananti Samahi Sabdayonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam
Synonyms. Api, as also. sweet weather. Aste does he. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Sukham, all happiness. Vaha, of you. Yaha, one who. Sattvatam, of the devotees. Kamadukhaha, source of all desires. Aniruddhaha, the plenary expansion Aniruddha. Yam, whom. Amananti, they accept. Sma, from your. He, certainly. Shabdayonim, the cause of the Rig Veda. Manamayam, creator of the mind. Sattva, transcendental. Turiya, the fourth expansion. Tattvam, principle. May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees, and has been considered from yore to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind, and the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu. So I can read the purport.
Adi Chaturbhuja, the original expansions from Baladeva are Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. All of them are Vishnu Tattvas, or non-different personalities of Godhead. In the incarnation of Sri Rama, all these different expansions appeared for particular pastimes. Lord Rama is the original Vasudeva, and his brothers were Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Aniruddha is also the cause of Mahavishnu, from whose breathing the Rig Veda appeared. All this is nicely explained in the Markandeya Purana. In the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Aniruddha appeared as the son of the Lord. Lord Krishna in Dwaraka is the Vasudeva expansion of the original group. The original Lord Krishna never leaves Goloka Vrindavana. All the plenary expansions are one and the same, Vishnu Tattva, and there is no difference in their potency.
These four, Chatur Vyuha, these four incarnations, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, also appear in Lord Krishna's pastimes. Lord Krishna is Vasudeva, Balaram is Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. The names are the same, this incarnation. In the pastimes of the Lord, when King Ugrasena was to be established as the emperor of the world, the Lord Krishna arranged that he wanted them to have a Rajasuya sacrifice and the Ashwamedha sacrifice. So, on the last sacrifice, Aniruddha was chosen, or he offered to take the position of the protector of the horse that was sent out around the world. The horse could wander, challenge horse. And anyone who didn't want to agree to accept the rule of King Ugrasena, Aniruddha said he would be in charge of that group that went to protect the horse. And they would make sure that everyone who captured the horse, they would defeat them and get the horse back. And then those who were defeated would have to submit to the supremacy or to the sovereignty of Ugrasena. So he did that, and he was successful, as his brother had been successful in the previous one. Excuse me, not his brother, his father. He's the son of Pradyumna. Pradyumna is the son of Krishna. And Aniruddha is the son of Pradyumna. And the grandson of Aniruddha is Vajranava, and so on. So, but these four, they're the expansions of Lord Balaram. Originally there is Krishna. Ete Changsa Kalapungsam, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. He's the original source of all avatars, therefore he's called Avatari. And from Krishna comes Balaram, the first expansion. And from Balaram, or Baladev, these Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, those four. Then another set of those. And then the Narayan, feature of the Lord. And then the Mahavishnu. All these different expansions are coming. Advaita, Achyuta, Anadam, and Antarupam. Unlimited forms, but they're all one. Simultaneously, they're one, and they are his Sangsa expansions. Sangsa means his internal Vishnu Tattva expansions. He also has the marginal potency. They are also his expansions, living entities. But they are not on the same level. They are his parts and parcels. They don't have the same power as Vishnu. But they have the same qualities, but not the same quantity. So they're also conscious. And this Aniruddha is described in Garga Samhita. Aniruddha, when he appeared during Lord Krishna's appearance time, he realized that three different forms, that he was the expansion of Aniruddha, or Vishnu. There's also an expansion of Lord Brahma, also the moon, and from the moon the mind is coming, manifestation. So some people could see all that and they were astounded. Not everyone could see that. That was a special prerogative of those who are very, very advanced. They could perceive that. So sometimes the Lord partially expands, or sometimes even he expands. The goddess of fortune, she's also expanding. Srimati Radharani is the original. Lakshmi, she is the original of the source of the goddesses of fortune. And the other gopis and the queens, they all emanate from her. So this is how the Lord arranges things. He manages everything, and some of the forms are expansions of himself. And he interacts with them. And this is all inconceivable because we can't imagine how someone can do like that. But we have a little idea here where men are able to expand themselves in a sense through the agency of a female. They can pass on their seeds, which are angsas of them, part of them, and then son takes on the qualities of the father, daughter takes on the qualities of the mother, and this way the living entities can also do something similar, but actually not, because they don't provide the parts, they don't provide the soul. The living entity cannot provide, but he provides the body by the arrangement of the Lord's external potency. The living entities in different forms produce different material bodies for the souls to act out their pastimes, so-called pastimes. Thank you.
Okay. So, are there any questions on those things? Yes, Prabhu. Could you control this camera? Prabhuji?
So these four expansions of Krishna, could you just kind of clarify for me? I'm just wondering, like, does Krishna expand himself in these four ways that are also himself, but maybe have some external features that are different? Does he expand himself in this way because different devotees seek a personal relationship with that specific form of God? Is that why he does this? Expands himself in these ways?
Yeah, these are, this is part of his pastimes, to do all this expanding, and he has his pastimes as Mahavishnu, and on, and then whenever he wills to descend into the material universes, then all those incarnations are interacting with each other in, completely perfect ways for the Lord's pleasure. So, yeah, to understand the Lord is a tall order according to the acharyas. But basically, like Lord Brahma says, who can understand? So some may say they understand, but who can understand? But we do know by his nature that he's always enjoying. The Lord is understood as Anandamaya Vyasat. So he's always enjoying in pastime. So there are different reasons which can be explained. As far as these four expansions, as far as I understand, the Lord is not directly engaged in like killing the demons personally. He does so, it's described, Prabhupada describes that he does so, he executes those pastimes in this Vasudev form. So then Prabhupada there at the end of the purport mentioned that Krishna, proper, always remains in Goloka Vrindavan. So, usually when we hear about Vishnu, which we hear that Mahavishnu and subsequently Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and also Kshirodakshaya Vishnu are expansions from one of these forms. Which one was it that Prabhupada said in the purport? So anyway, it said there, you can look it up, let's see it. But your question about why he would expand in these different forms, and you mentioned the devotees' desires. So that's always there. The Lord can't but try to please his devotees. So, the devotees' desires to serve him in particular varieties are definitely, that's part of his decision-making process. Can you find that? Which was the source of Mahavishnu? Did you have any more thoughts on that, Prabhu? Okay. So it said that Lord Krishna in Dwaraka is the Vasudeva expansion of the original group. So whenever Krishna goes to Dwarka, whenever Uddhava, takes him, then, it's said that Lord Krishna himself, he stays there. He stays behind in Vrindavan, and the Vasudeva feature goes. This is mystical because at the same time they're all experiencing separation from Krishna. So now it says here that Mahavishnu, Aniruddha is also the cause of Mahavishnu. So there's four, right? There's Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So Aniruddha, from that one, Mahavishnu is coming from him. And then from Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And then all the incarnations from there. Okay, any more thoughts, questions? Radha Damodar?
Why do the Vedas recommend different processes according to people's conditioned natures, only to kind of condemn those processes and establish Bhagavatam as being the highest process? And also, it's not like we go out and we give people the different Vedas according to their natures. We just give them Bhagavatam. And Krishna even says, Sarva Dharma Prityaja. So what's the point of doing all of that only for that to be the conclusion? Why not just, Oh,
nice. This is the same question that Narada Muni asked his student, Vyasadeva. He says, why did you do this? So let's see. So this is chapter 5 of the first canto. And, right. Text 2, I'll read the text here. It says, text 1, Sutta Goswami said, Thus the sage amongst the gods, Narada, comfortably seated and apparently smiling. Let me see if I can put it on the screen real quick. No, not yet. Addressed the rishi amongst the Brahmanas, Vyasadeva, Veda Vyas. Text 2. Addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara, Narada inquired, "Are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization?" Text 3. Your inquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled, but there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences elaborately explained. Text 4. You have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Text 5. Sri Vyasadeva said, All you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction, for you are a man of unlimited knowledge due to your being the offspring of one, Brahma, who is self-born, without mundane father and mother. Text 6. My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Text 7. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive Supersoul. Please, therefore, find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. Text 8. Sri Narada said, You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Text 9. Although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles, beginning with religious performances, you have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality Vasudeva. All right, so let's read that text. Text 9. Let's look at the purport. Purport. The prompt diagnosis of Sri Narada is at once declared. The root cause of the despondency of Vyasadeva was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas. He has certainly, as a matter of course, given descriptions of the glories of the Lord, Sri Krishna, but not as many as given to religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These four items are by far inferior to engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. Sri Vyasadeva, as the authorized scholar, knew very well this difference. And still, instead of giving more importance to the better type of engagement, namely devotional service to the Lord, he had more or less improperly used his valuable time, and thus he was despondent. From this it is clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially without being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is clearly mentioned. Like you mentioned. After liberation, which is the last item in the line of performing religiosity, etc., one is engaged in pure devotional service. This is called the stage of self-realization, or the Brahmabhuta stage. After attainment of this Brahmabhuta stage, one is satisfied. But satisfaction is the beginning of transcendental bliss. One should progress by attaining neutrality and equality in the relative world. And passing this stage of equanimity, one is fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the instruction of the personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad Gita. The conclusion is that in order to maintain the status quo of the Brahmabhuta stage, also to increase the degree of transcendental realization, Narada recommended to Vyasadeva that he, Vyasadeva, should now eagerly and repeatedly describe the path of devotional service. This would cure him from gross despondency. So in here, maybe I went too far. Maybe text 8 could describe a little bit more about why he would do it. Prabhupada said there that it was more or less an improper use of his time. So you're saying, how is it possible that the incarnation of God or the expansion of God, Vedavyas, could improperly use his time and not glorify Krishna?
Yeah, that's an extension, but that I guess I'm satisfied with that answer. If you say, well, why did he create all these other processes of religion and then condemn them and establish Bhagavatam? Well, because he made a mistake. I mean, I'm satisfied with that answer. But then that does beg the question, like you were saying. Well, how can he make mistakes? We hear that he's free from the 4 defects. So how could he have made a mistake? So I mean, I don't know. Krishna's arranging it. He wants it somehow as well. So I don't know.
Right. If I can say one thing, that it's described that he became mature, like in the peak of his maturity. Then he wrote the Bhagavatam. That's described earlier in some of the purports and some of the verses, that when Vyasadeva was elevating, So let me pass this to Maturnath.
I was just thinking on this question, why does a doctor give medicine according to the ailment? And then I was thinking, the doctor, he could go to the source of the problem that the patient is bringing to be diagnosed, but sometimes the patient isn't physically or mentally able to actually go through with getting the diagnosis at the source. So he gives some kind of medicine to the patient to meet him where he's at. But the patient just taking some pills every day, he's never going to be satisfied actually, because he knows he still has this ailment that he has to work on. Whereas sometimes the patient is actually qualified to get the root problem taken care of at the source, where he doesn't have to be given a prescription, to suit his ailment.
Yeah, that's nice. It made me think of how Krishna in the Gita, he describes that those that are less intelligent, they take shelter of the demigods, and they don't know that they're actually, whatever they receive, whatever boons, benedictions they receive from the demigods are actually coming from me. Basically, they say they are worshiping me, but improperly, So then he sets up that whole system to gradually satisfy the material desires of the living entities, because they actually don't want him yet. That's what's amazing about devotional service, is that it's a completely voluntary process, turning oneself towards the Lord, turning one's face towards the Lord again. And Krishna says in the Gita that one cannot really take to it unless he is sufficiently pious. What's amazing about that is that the pure devotee can make your piety also. But that free will is still there. And sometimes somebody's just so covered, they have such an offensive, outlook, mentality, that it's like they smashed a whole bottle of liquor, so they're drunk, and whatever they do, they can't kind of go back from that. They're just going to be drunk for some time. So that's what it's like when we perform very heinous sinful activities. We just can't take the matchless gift of pure devotional service. In some cases, but so I think there should be some more purports about this very question. Why would there be some of these lesser things, but given? But there is a gradual system that Krishna has set up, and Prabhupada has discussed that the followers of the Vedic system are fortunate because the personal Godhead is being approached like that. God is personal, is built into the Vedic system. So when somebody follows the Vedic system, even though they're not on the perfected level of Krishna consciousness, they're still tending towards personalism. Because the demigods are there. They're offering respect to the demigods. So there's always a personal aspect. Anyway, okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.